Hey guys, what's up? It is, sorry, I'm juking around here quite a bit. It is none other than prime time, the green Protoss in the top right of Daybreak. And I know it's been a while, I know it's been over a week now that I haven't put up a video. And because of that, I just want to quickly mention a few things, reintroduce my new style of casting that I'm going to be starting to do today in this particular video that we're going to watch. So yeah, since I haven't really, posted a video in a while, I was sort of thinking of the style of videos that I've been posting, and I think what I'm going to start to do is, instead of watching 4 or 5 different games, all pertaining to one build, I think I'm going to more so look at maybe like 1 to 3 games at the very most, probably 1 or 2 games of a particular build. But instead of just constantly letting the video run on and on and on, I'm going to be pausing it here and there just so I can mention a few things about, different, sort of like maybe like a different mindset that I have about what I see my opponent doing, or maybe like where a build will, vary from, okay, now I'm making a double Stargate, or now I'm going to be throwing out a double Robo, or, whatever. Those are pretty bad examples, but never mind that. So yeah, this game we're going to get to see another Playhem tournament PvZ, but instead of just having it as like one of those random videos, I'm going to be analyzing this and breaking it down and all that good stuff. And my opponent today is going to be FLC Hollow. Thank you, Hollow, for letting me easily pronounce your name. As there's so many of those weird names on Battle.net. And actually, I am changing my name because there is a free name change next month. And I'm going to pause it here just for a second. But yeah, there is a free name change next month. So if you guys have any suggestions for what I should be changing my name to, leave it in the comments. I will look at them. I've already got one name in mind, so we'll see what I end up going with. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and start to analyze the builds, see what I see what's going on here. I scouted his base with this first probe, obviously. I did not see a pool down, so I'm just going to go ahead and patrol around his natural. So what am I doing right now? That is the question. What you want to do in this build, and you know what, I might as well just walk you guys through it, because why not? To open up this build, there are a few different openings you can do in PvZ. This particular opening is going to involve using 2 Chrono Boosts on your Nexus, and then rally a probe when you have 13 supply down to your natural, and build a forge. And in your first pylon, it's actually pretty important that it goes in the middle of the ramp, or in the middle of the choke at the natural. And your forge should also go closer to your main base ramp than on the other side, just because of what you're going to see the cannon placement. That's just a better thing to do. And I do want to mention that I did use 1 more Chrono Boost after I built the forge on the Nexus, so that's something you want to do. And all you want to do is just probe up to 17 supply. And so this is all I'm going to build before I get my Nexus. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it here real quick. So yeah, these 3 buildings is all I'm going to get before the Nexus goes down at 17 supply. As you can see, I have a probe here waiting to build a pylon, and I'll get back to that in a second. And all we're seeing right now is me just trying to block his expansion. This is something you should always try to do unless he has Zerglings building or on the field. Because Zerglings can kill pylons very quickly, as I'm sure you know. So yeah, just trying to block his expo. I would recommend, though, do not let this pylon finish, as it's just sort of a waste of money, to be honest. As almost all Zerg players nowadays are going spawning pool before hatchery against Protoss, just because it's pretty easy for them to get cannoned otherwise at their expansion. So yeah, I would suggest canceling the pylon before it finishes, or after it finishes if you can cheat the game somehow. One second. Sorry. So yeah, so I'm building the pylon. And by the way, this building placement, I just want to quickly mention, the reason you see the buildings here first off, because I'm going to only have one pylon blocking the choke, you need it to be in the middle so you can actually build buildings on in all areas of the choke point. And the other reason for this building placement is because if you were to rush in with Zerglings, they would have to go all the way around this cannon to get into my main base, whereas if these buildings were here, they could just go straight into the main base and my cannon would only get a few shots off. So that's the point for that. And by the way, this is 7-pool proof. Even on this wide choke, it is possible to stop. I don't know if I mentioned this in an earlier video, but I do plan on making like how to stop a cannon rush, how to stop a 2-gate, how to stop a 7-pool, all these different things. I will be making these soon. I just want to get enough footage so I can show you guys different examples and different scenarios of stuff going down. Because I think all Protoss players can benefit from watching how to stop a cannon rush, because there are people in Grandmaster League where they're cannon rushing their way to beating like Idra and In Control and all of them. So, and yes, I just mentioned 2 EG players. All right, don't hate too much on me. Anyway, so enough of that. And there's one other thing. Oh yeah, the other reason why your pylon should be in the middle is because your second pylon is way out here. And if your pylon was on this side, let's say, you could afford to do so, and then your second pylon could be... Oh yeah, actually, no. I take that back. The reason it's on the... Well, actually, I guess that is true. Basically, your second pylon can't be used to power some of the wall, so you do need it. So you do need your first pylon in the middle. But one thing you want to be careful about is because your first pylon is in the middle of the wall, it is a good idea to have one more like right here. So in case this goes down, you can still be powering the rest of your buildings. With that said though, what we see right now going on is as soon as the Nexus is finished, or as soon as you throw down the Nexus, this pylon should be thrown down, and then you should be building one gateway here, and at 18 supply, or 17 if you prefer, it doesn't really matter, you build your assimilator. And as soon as you can afford it, just start chronoing out probes. You want to use 2 chronos on the Nexus. Now, I'm saying these things pretty exact, and that's partly because it's still early on in the game and there's not going to be any big variant in the build to this point, unless your opponent does do some sort of 7-pool, and I'll talk about that later, maybe in a different video. But yeah, don't worry if you use like 1 chrono boost or 3 chrono boosts or whatever. As long as you're doing the basic motions of the builds, you'll be fine. But as soon as these gateways are done, you want to be building zealots one at a time, constantly building them. As soon as you have enough gas, you want to chrono boost this +1 attack upgrade 3 times. And you also want to be building probes when you can afford it out of your 2 Nexus. The #1 thing to do though is constantly build zealots, alright? And if you can afford it, you will be able to afford this just maybe once or twice while you're building zealots. You will be able to chrono boost a Nexus. But if you don't think you have the money to do so, just don't even bother. It's not worth delaying your zealot timing. What we see right now is 2 zealots just poking across the map. As you can see, I have these zealots to attack to this watchtower and then attack to this watchtower. There are 2 points of this, but really only one of them is important. The main point of me doing that is so that he knows I have zealots. And if we look at the production tab, he is making 8 Zerglings right now. That is 4 less drones than he could have. So that is great. That is exactly what I want to see. And that will almost basically always happen when your opponent sees 2 zealots pushing across the map. And that's just because Zerg is just a reactionary race. If they see units coming, they're going to make units. That's just how it works. And the reason why you want this to happen is because you're going to be getting the +1 attack upgrade, and when you have that, Zerglings can't really do anything to zealots. As you will see in this video in a short amount of time. But because I knew he saw my zealots, I'm just going to back them off and make sure they don't die, and that is very important. You do not want to lose these. You do not want to go Rambo and try to take down the spawning pool or something. So yeah, just don't lose the zealots. So yeah, what we missed while I was talking about that is my last chrono boost is going down in my +1 attack, and we can see that is basically finishing up while the last 2 zealots are basically finishing up, and that's what you want. Also, queue up the +1 armor upgrade right after the +1 attack. That's just a good thing to do. And we'll see why you're able to squeeze that in a second. And also, while these last 2 zealots are building, what you want to do is throw down all of your gas. You'll have 3 assimilators that you can build. Just build them all, and then as soon as you build all your assimilators, build your cybernetics core. And also, a good rule of thumb while making zealots is you're building a pylon, so you're not supply blocked. You know, that's obvious. But a good rule of thumb while you're doing this build is as soon as your pylon is finished, build it. As soon as your latest pylon is finishing building, build another one, and that'll keep you unsupply blocked, and it should time out pretty well, just with the rate of how many units you're making. And we can see I still haven't built a second pylon here, and I really should have done that, but I just sort of was lazy this game, so just making sure you guys remember that. And you really only need 1 cannon as well. So, and we can see I have my probe here on hold position. That is how you should wall in. This isn't the safest wall in, but we'll see why you can sort of, we can see why it's going to be okay in the future of this video, as this video progresses.